So this is the Huawei P9. It's available in the shops in around 4 weeks' time from now. The one thing I want to mention to start with, it's actually got dual Leica cameras on there, both of which are 12 megapixel, and everyone knows that Leica makes some of the best lenses in the world. And the technology we're using here, we've got a monochrome and we've got a color sensor. So that gives us 50% better detail and 200% better lighting in taking photos. Also, we use a laser sensor to get better and faster focus, and we also have a depth and contrast focus capability. In fact, this is the first phone in the world that uses a dedicated depth signal processor, and it's 200% faster than using software to do so. By the way, we've also got a very good front-facing camera. That's an 8 megapixel, and actually that's 4 times better in low light conditions than the P8. So under the bonnet on the P9 here, we've actually got a very powerful 8-core processor running at 2.5 gigahertz on 4 cores. It's a big little architecture. We've got 3 gigs of the new type of RAM, DDR4, and we've also got a decent USB Type-C connection there for faster charging. And we'll see that it's actually built from a very high level of craftsmanship with injection molding techniques there, so it's very, very good to feel in the hand. And 2.5D glass, so it's ever so slightly bezeled around the edges for a more comfortable feel. The P9 is also the first device in the world to use a triple antenna technology. So there's a transceiver in the top, a transceiver in the bottom, and there's a virtual transceiver. So if I hold it in one hand, it'll switch the signal to the other side there to give you the strongest connection. And with Signal Plus as well, it means you're less likely to drop signals when traveling at high speed. You've got a 32 gigabyte internal storage on this, and there's a couple of key differences between this and the P9 Plus, but what I will say is the fingerprint on both devices is a world first. It's the first time that we've actually been able to sense the ridge depth as well as the other areas there. So it unlocks very, very quickly, but also it's very, very secure, and that is stored on an encrypted location on the P9 as well. Another key feature that is worth looking at on the P9 and P9 Plus is in the camera, we've actually got the capability for Pro mode photos, which you see along the bottom here. So by default, it'll look like this. To get the Pro mode, I slide up there, and I have all these types of metering and different features available in Pro mode to get the perfect shot every time. Also, to help take the photos, as I mentioned previously, you've got a dedicated image signal processor and the world's first depth signal processor as well. And also having the two cameras side by side like that helps to take better depth of field shot, and you can change your focus after you've taken the shot. So the engine under the bonnet here on the P9, you've actually got a 2.5 gigahertz 8-core processor using the big little ARM architecture for very smart power saving as well, and 3 gigabytes of DDR4 RAM. This device is going to be available around about the first week of May, and this is one of the UK colours available, but there will be other colours available across the world. Other things we might want to talk about, well, we've got a dual tone flash in there, so although we've got very, very good performance in low light, if it is very dark, we can flash both orange and white light onto the subject, and if you're within 1.5 meters, that laser will give you the best focus capability possible. So this is the P9. I do want to mention the P9 Plus. There are a couple of key differences between the P9 and the P9 Plus. So first off, the P9 is a 5.2-inch screen, and the P9 Plus is actually a 5.5-inch screen, so just a little bit bigger. Of course, you've got the same camera technologies in both devices, the same fingerprint reading, the same 4G capabilities, both Category 6, 300 megabit a second download. But something you won't have on the P9 standard, the P9 Plus has actually got something called Force Touch. So if I go to the settings, and I go to, where am I here? So in Smart Assistant, I've got pressure sensing, and I can press harder to get a different reaction there. So if I choose a shortcut action, I can say, aha, there we go. So if I go to settings, if I long or hard press on there, it gives me different options, okay? There we go. Fantastic. So other features we can do with the Force Touch, if it's enabled. Pressure sensing. Come on, fingers. Shortcut actions are enabled. Screen edge actions, enable that. So if I press the top left edge, I want to open my notepad. And I want to press the top right pad, the top right corner, I want to open the gallery. So now if I hold firmly in the top left, that'll open my notepad. and if I hold firm in the top right, that'll open my gallery as well, and that's Force Touch. So the key differences between the P9 and the P9 Plus is the fact that the screen size is a little larger. So instead of a 5.2 inch, we've got a 5.5 inch, which is better for people that like their rich media or that maybe use Excel spreadsheets or a lot of data, easy to see. And also the battery is actually significantly larger. So it's a 3,400 milliamp hour battery in the P9 Plus. All the other features are exactly the same. So again, the key features, the differences between the P9 and the P9 Plus: larger screen, larger battery, there's 64 gigs of storage instead of 32, and you've also got pressure sensitivity Force Touch. So this is an AMOLED screen rather than IPS, that's right. So both devices have a very, very small distance between the glass and the light emitters, so there's very minimum refraction from the light in sunlight reading. There's also a little bit more RAM in the P9 Plus. It's actually 4 GB of DDR4 RAM instead of 3 GB of DDR4 RAM in the P9.